I guess who knows what the dungeon has in store, so without further ado, let's get ready to hop into it. Oh, Hewitt. So sad, buddy. But yeah, if we're gonna go with a chaotic start of sorts, I'm tempted to go back to Djinni. It's been a while since we played any Djinni runs, and definitely have a lot of fun with them there. So maybe that's what we go with. The other thing that was on my mind is Demon Spawn also are a kind of fun interaction with Zom. It's about like maxing out mutations essentially at that point. Jivya maybe a little bit better of a match, but regardless, you kind of see the direction it's going there. Hey Chadley, early success or 12 quick deaths. Welcome to Venu. Hey, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Sometimes you just have those days in DCSS, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Fortunately, I don't mind dying too much. It's definitely a pretty regular part of my playing in general, so not too bad of a problem. But let's jump in with Djinni. And do we start with Chaos Knight? It'll be tough, because we aren't guaranteed the starter book of spells. Because at the very least, if you go in with like a Djinni Conjurer is probably my favorite. Fire Elementalist I play more often, but Djinni Conjurer, you're getting such a good solid base of spells that it almost doesn't matter what the game gives you on level up, because you're pretty set, at least for most of a 3-rune run. But we do get to start off with a Zom. So let's try one Chaos Knight run. We'll see how it goes, and then we can always kind of move on from here, shall we? And don't have much creativity in me today, so let's just name you Chaos, my friend. I guess it kind of has the right vibes, right? It's giving some, like, primordial being of randomness, so I don't mind that. Got a level 20 Djinni going, not too bad. Got Plasma Beam and Ozakubu's Freeze. Oh, nice. Plasma Beam I haven't tried too much of, especially since I think it got some further changes in 0.32. But definitely a pretty solid set of spells there. It's nice when you get some offensive abilities. Again, I've definitely had my fair share of characters that I think we'll start trying spellcasting. But of Djinnis who get pretty much nothing but utility spells, and then you're kind of fighting against that for the majority of the run. But again, that's where the Conjurer start kind of shines, because at the very least, in that context, you are, a Vampiric Whip. I'll pick it up at the very least. But just having access to IMB and Fulminant Prism means it's not the complete end of the world if things go horribly wrong. And speaking of things going horribly wrong, as our Chaos Knife mites up the ooze there. Fortunately, nothing too bad comes to pass, but won't always be so lucky, I'm sure. And fortunately, we haven't had too crazy of a start. Because we don't have any spells yet, I also will immediately swap into this Ringmail. Get ourselves slightly better odds at getting through the early section of the dungeon in one piece here, at least to the point where we'll start seeing, you know, what kind of shape this character will take over the next while here. Hey Roga, how's it going? Hope you have been well. This is why we don't tab, folks. So I just tabbed into a pack of gnolls, which wouldn't want to fight an entire pack of gnolls as our first enemy group on D2. But on top of that, one of you had a Vampiric Halberd, so hooray! But that's good. It gets the jitters out of the way here. We can just immediately jump in. Besides, even though, you know, we got some okay items on the floor there, I'm sure it'll be nothing but the best this time around. So more than happy to reset, especially since, oh my gosh, we didn't even do our start of the run activities. Again, even though I explicitly went into today's stream titling it as some indication of my vacant mind space, still didn't expect to immediately realize My issues run so deep as forgetting my routines. As a creature of habit, that is not something that happens very often to me. Okie dokie, let's, with that in place this time, drop in that game seed just in case any of you lovely folks are playing along at home. And that is the boon, the good fortune that we needed to get this rumbling and rolling here, eh? So with that sorted and out of the way, let's hopefully just blitz through the first, at least the first floor. Ideally, the second floor is a little bit more straightforward this time, you know, protect me from my own ineptitude and all that good stuff. But hey, never really know what the dungeon is going to throw our way, as we seem to be consistently adding the might modifier to enemies with our Chaos short blade. Hopefully that's something that we're, you know, getting all the bad vibes out of the way early on here. And then by the time we get to the meat and potatoes of the run, we'll be feeling all right about ourselves. But definitely mark these. I'll probably just mark all the ID and we'll come back for those pretty promptly here. I know, unless we, for whatever reason, come across a very, very rare setup of shops in the near future, then 28 gold for each of those. Excuse me? Crash. And the dungeon rumbles harmlessly? I like that a lot. Bunch of pile of debris just every which way. Well, thank you, Zom. I appreciate it. Again, it's good to get a little bit of a kick in the rear sometimes. You know, we actually should probably quiver. Freeze here. 19% failure. Not ideal by any stretch, but we'll hold on to that for the upcoming floors of the dungeon here. And here we go, back to where we left off last time. Why, hello there. Let's try to come across Robin and company in a bit more of a controlled setting in the future, shall we? I know it's always that dichotomy of, you know, going down on the stairs is great because stair dancing is so powerful in this game. But when you're on a stairwell that's that surrounded and we're this early on, I can't exactly trust that we're not going to be just absolutely annihilated on that first turn. This time around, I'm going to use freeze instead of our dangerous weapon, just to ensure some level of consistency. We can kind of keep doing so against these kiddos, maybe? Yeah, we're quick casting. Try to kill Robin, at the very least, before they might anyone up. We did indeed seem to hit that mark. There we go. No real issues whatsoever when our folks, or our enemies here, our friends as we oftentimes call them, are so polite and kind to line up. Just so orderly for us. I like the little green hood we got going here as well. Really plays off nicely against the fiery orange of our tail, of course. And, you know, so far, we've been on a pretty good track record with Zom this run. You know, I think we're on the same page. We're both having a lot of fun here, and that's what it's all about. Just please don't hurt me, my sweet, sweet friend. Okay. Frog. Well, not an ideal switch out to occur there. At the very least, is susceptible to our freeze, and slowing down the enemy is a nice solid boon for us there, as I get completely distracted by the very first evolutions we go through thanks to Zom. We immediately lose our beautiful green hood that I was so excited about. Okay, maybe Zom knows something we don't. And actually, before we continue too much further on here, let's head back to our stairwell, because we should run back up to buy some of these ID scrolls that we'd left behind. And in fact, I'll buy 2. Why the heck not? Make sure we mark the others. And we have 9 ID scrolls. Holy. In that case, I guess we'll just have a little bit of a field day here. No curing or heal wounds in our first few potions. No, we'll still keep going. Maybe not ideal. Scrolls of Amnesia, of course, aren't going to do much for us either. One more ID. So nothing too critical in our first batch of consumables here. Hopefully that changes in the near future here. Give us some tools to operate with and to potentially better our chances moving forward here. I think like Freeze or Chaos Blade. Freeze feels a lot safer at the very least. You know, ensure that we're just dealing damage and that we're not going to suddenly haste and might what should have otherwise been a completely nothing enemy. But I don't know, it does feel, I guess, a little antithetical to our lifestyle here. When you praise Zom, generally want to do so wholeheartedly, embrace the chaos. Because we could also just paralyze enemies. Wouldn't that be a thing of beauty? Okie dokie, we can take a look. Our failure rates are coming down nicely at the very least, so that kind of nixes a potential plan I was just thinking through was if we this run wanted to switch into heavier armor, you know, have the better defenses while we waited for everything else to get online, but that's looking pretty good. And Searing Ray is not bad. Ideally, if I can just kill you, my friend. No, okay, then I'm gonna read a teleport scroll. And maybe head towards a stairwell just to heal up. Give it some time. Even if they're durably summoned, which I don't believe they were, they should be gone by this point. Not that I don't appreciate it, Zom. Again, let's make sure that that is just abundantly clear that your wisdom is always very much appreciated and desired. Thanks for the moccasin. Let's see how we do here. Because if we're dealing enough damage to the moccasin, I don't feel too bad. Unfortunately, we're about to kill the Null friend that is kind of holding the line here for us. So that is a tad unfortunate. I guess what we can do is walk over to the stairs is what I was kind of aiming for here. Are you kids fire vulnerable? No, you are not. Though I don't actually know. I guess Searing Ray might be more of a pure energy kind of dealio now that I think about it, but that's fine. So close. We're on the razor's edge here. I think we can beat you. But let us at least blast through all these sons of guns with each ray. Fantastic. And failure to launch, not exactly ideal, but that gets the job done. No real issues. Do I still have my antenna? Do still have my antenna. What a shame. I mean, the fur and the scales, though, we're definitely confusing some communities out there having both, but definitely appreciate the additional armor class. I guess I could pick up a javelin. It's not a bad idea. Didn't worry too much when setting up all of our auto pickup at the start of this run. Didn't worry about the throwing gear because so oftentimes on characters like this, it's not like we really end up using it too much, at least not enough to kind of validate setting it up in the first place, but I guess this will be the one time that that's immediately thrown back in our face. We should have remembered those silver javelins. We can just cue that, like, you know, 3 hours from now when we're in Zot and running for our lives. Plus 1 pair of boots. What a shame. But let's check this out. We got Call Imp. So I'm normally not too much of a summoner caster in the game, but I feel like the couple of times that we've tried it since the big summoning changes that happened back in like 0.27, 0.28 or something like that, the couple times that we've gone for it have actually gone pretty well. So let's just put all of our faith, trust, and pixie dust into the next little bit here. And I'm sure we'll see the same today. Summons finally, you know, showing us what they're made of at the very least. I mean, Cerulean Imp, I guess it has a weapon, a -3 spear. Maybe I spoke too soon about that weapon. Not exactly what you're hoping to bring to bear in your army, but not the end of the world either. Now that we actually have some spells under our belt, we are a bit more ready to fully embrace that side of things. Let's double check. What was your magic sword, my friend? Short sword of speed. Okay. Definitely not ideal. Let's melt you with a searing ray of sorts, as the kids call it. And that is perfect. In fact, I'll probably pick up... Again, it feels sacrilegious. How dare we turn our back on our Lord and Savior, Chaos Incarnate itself, but Short Sword of Speed, just so nice. Have you read about the new Forge Right background in Trunk? I've not. No, I've not heard about any of the content currently in Trunk or upcoming. Is it a new background that you're excited for there, Roga? You, my friend, are not resistant. Oh, I keep checking fire. Like, Searing Ray, not fire. But there we go. Nothing we can't handle regardless here. Fantastic. And Call Imp, still looking pretty rough. Still looking a bit rough. I guess 6 damage, not the end of the world. And where spells like that can really shine in the early game here is if that fight had gone horribly wrong, just bring in a friend, swap places, bada boom, bada bing. One-stop shop for a strategic retreat, of course. So we're very brave little boys. Fantastic. Haven't looked into it yet. Okay, well, let me know, yeah, if you have any preliminary thoughts when you do get the chance. And I'm always curious how many people in the community kind of consistently play on Trunk. I feel like before I started doing it on camera, I was for a phase playing Trunk pretty consistently. It's probably just because at that time there was one specific update that really resonated with me, and so I kind of took it and ran with it. But I know it's nice, I feel, to give myself some stability and not having to deal with too many new changes, especially since my brain is oftentimes not up to par when it comes to really anything. I was gonna give, you know, specific examples about the context in which we were speaking, but I thought more accurate to just blanket statement the whole thing. Brain doesn't do so good. Okie dokie, let's see. The Moxen, much more straightforward this time. Seems like our previous encounter we were kind of right on that cusp point. And this is interesting. Not super happy to see an Orc Priest, speaking of the devil. But with this nice little corner around, nothing we can't handle. And it's looking like we'll be able to kind of stabilize ourselves without too many issues. Thank you, Zom, for the interesting tour. You know, as long as it doesn't end with a quick and impractical death, then can't exactly complain about getting to see the dungeon a little bit. You know, it's something that I feel like we don't appreciate often enough. The benefits of travel. Ooh, boy. Okay, well, we went on a little bit of a journey there for sure. Apparently, I'm just unable to cast Searing Ray. Very cool. Well, Was it you, Spear? I think the Spear just had a field day there. Holy moly. Okie dokie. With that, maybe we're back on a steady level playing field here. I mean, definitely seems like Zom has a bit of a theme going on at the moment here, but nothing we can't handle. I'm glad that we don't need to panic and run away every single time the demons come out to play. And okie dokie. Before we head down, I guess we can at the very least do one more ID. I was really hoping for a triple stack of heal wounds, but Degeneration seems like a fitting enough twist to take on it. Oof. And I'm just gonna say nay to that group of friends. A little bit too tumultuous for our initial trip down. In fact, maybe before we continue, let's I was gonna say let's reverse once more and head back to pick up some more ID scrolls. Now I'm seeing how close we are to affording that scroll of blinking. And 2 blink scrolls is the other, the end of that sentence. Generally a good idea to finish your sentiments instead of just leaving people in a fun guessing game of what the heck my brain was trying to put together. Formulate into, again, my instinct was to say cohesive thoughts, but I feel like that is misrepresenting the scenario a little bit, because the majority of my thoughts are inherently inconsistent, inane, and out of control. Okie dokie. Not too shabby here. The Orc Priests are fortunately being kind enough to run directly at us, and so we're not second guessing ourselves too much. We're not dealing with smites coming in, from the top rope every other turn here. Love to see it. No idea where our Scorpion friend ended up. They could have been the one that we faced off against, I guess. Ooh, and we got Mephitic Cloud. Okay, Mephitic Cloud is a pretty solid spell for us to gain here. Of course, it can be slightly useful in combat, but mainly we'll be using that to just very quickly escape from, our early 2-headed ogres and the like, keeping them confused, especially since, as a Djinni, we have poison immunity, so we can just Mephitic Cloud directly on top of ourselves till the cows come home. So that should be a pretty solid addition to our overall setup here. Those daisies. Turns out I should not be using those moments to remove my cursor from the screen. Whoops. Whoops. But